Rain slammed against the mansion like 1,000 restless hands, but nothing sounded louder than the desperate knock at the front door. Inside, the lights glowed warm and golden, untouched by the storm, until the moment Alexander Hale, one of the youngest CEOs in the country, pulled open the door and stepped into a moment that would change every breath of his future. At first, he didn't understand what he was seeing. A wicker basket. A trembling pink blanket. A sleeping baby girl with rain-kissed curls. And a note, shaking in the wind, clinging to the edge of the basket like it, too, was begging him not to look away. The handwriting was frantic, messy, almost panicked. "You promised to protect us. Don't break it." Before his mind could catch up, lightning cracked across the sky, revealing a shadow near the column at the edge of his porch. A young woman, thin, soaked, terrified, peering at him as if she was already halfway between fleeing and falling apart. And then she vanished into the storm. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of humanity, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. These stories grow because of your support. As the rain swallowed the woman's silhouette, Alexander stood paralyzed, feeling the ground shift beneath him. He was a man whose days were planned to the minute. Meetings, mergers, investments. Nothing unpredictable. Nothing personal. Yet here he was, holding a baby who didn't belong to him, or perhaps, frighteningly, did. The infant stirred, making a soft sound that tugged at something buried deep in Alex's chest. Something he had forced himself to forget. He carried her inside carefully, as though the slightest movement would shatter the fragile moment. The house, with its high ceilings and polished floors, felt too big for such a tiny life. Too silent. Too empty. Rainwater dripped from his coat onto the hardwood, leaving a trail behind him like evidence of a crime he didn't understand yet. He gently placed the basket on the marble kitchen island and unfolded the damp note. The ink had bled, but the message was still clear enough to read again and again until the words carved themselves into him. "You promised to protect us. Don't break it." Underneath that line were scratches, attempts at more words, maybe explanations, maybe pleas, but none were finished. As if the writer had run out of time. Or courage. Alexander's pulse hammered. Only one person in his life could have written that. Emily Carter. The girl he once loved with a fierceness too big for the small town they had grown up in. The girl he had left behind in pursuit of a future he thought mattered more. The girl who had given him every piece of her heart, and had asked him, with tears in her eyes the night he left, to never forget her. Never abandon her. He had made a promise then. A promise he had broken. Now she had come back, alone, wet, shaking, and left him with a baby who had her eyes. He didn't sleep that night. He simply sat on the couch, holding the child, her child, learning the rhythm of her breaths. He tried to convince himself that Emily would return in the morning, that maybe she had panicked and needed a moment to compose herself. But the storm passed, the skies cleared, and the driveway remained empty. As dawn peeled over the horizon, Alex felt something inside him unravel. A fear unlike anything he had ever felt weighed on him. What danger had Emily been in? Why leave her child with him? Why only that one desperate sentence? He called his assistant, cancelled every meeting, and wrapped the baby, whom he had instinctively started calling Lily, in a soft blanket. Then he drove. Alex found Emily 2 towns over, sitting alone on a cold metal bench outside a rundown bus station. She wasn't the same girl he remembered. Her once vibrant spirit seemed dimmed, her once easy smile now haunted. But the way her eyes widened, desperate and fragile when she saw him holding Lily, told him everything he needed to know. She still loved her daughter fiercely. She just didn't think she could keep her safe. Emily froze as he approached, like a cornered deer, ready to run or collapse. She whispered his name like a confession she never wanted to admit. He could see guilt on her face, fear in her trembling hands. She told him everything, slowly at first, then in a rush as if releasing years of darkness she had carried alone. After Alex left for the city years ago, she had gotten involved with someone she thought cared about her. Someone who became controlling. Dangerous. Someone who hit the walls when angry, then the table, then her. She had tried to leave, but he had threatened to take Lily away, saying she didn't deserve to be a mother if she couldn't obey him. For months she lived in fear, hoping things would get better. They didn't. They got worse. And when he discovered pictures of her and Alex from happier years, pictures she had kept hidden in a box, he snapped. He began calling Lily the mistake and accused Emily of still loving Alex. She realized, in that moment, the man would never let her live free. That Lily would grow up inside the same fists, the same fear. So she ran. All she had was one suitcase, a few dollars, and a note she wrote in shaking panic. She left the baby with the only man she ever trusted. The only promise she ever believed. Alex felt a cold fury settle into his bones. Hearing her describe the bruises, the threats, the moments she thought she wouldn't survive, it ignited something protective and primal in him. But mixed with that anger was shame. Shame for leaving her. Shame for not knowing. Shame for not being there when she needed him most. He told her she wasn't alone anymore. Not now. Not ever again. Emily's tears fell silently. She hadn't cried when she explained the abuse. She hadn't cried when she talked about escaping. She cried only when he said, "We'll protect her together." The next weeks were a blur of court hearings, protections, and security measures. Alex hired lawyers who moved mountains, investigators who left no stone unturned, and therapists who held Emily's fear gently. The man who hurt her was eventually arrested. The police found enough evidence to ensure he couldn't come near Emily or Lily again. But healing was not instant. Trauma lingered. Emily struggled to sleep. The slightest sound made her jump. She apologized too often. She seemed to expect Alex to grow tired of helping her. Yet Alex showed up every day. Not out of guilt anymore, but out of a dawning realization that he had never stopped loving her. And watching her cradle Lily, whispering lullabies through tears, something warm and undeniable bloomed inside him. Slowly, the house no longer felt empty. Lily's laugh filled the halls. Emily's soft footsteps warmed the cold spaces. Coffee mugs appeared side by side in the mornings. Their once collided paths began to align again, this time with purpose. One evening, when the sunset spilled orange light through the kitchen windows, Emily finally asked the question that had sat between them since the night she left the baby on his doorstep. "Why didn't you send her back to me? Why didn't you make me take her when you found me?" Alex looked at her, really looked, and answered with a truth he had been afraid to say. He told her he saw fear in her eyes that morning. He saw exhaustion. Despair. A woman who loved her child fiercely but needed help. And he loved that child the moment he saw her. Loved her because she was innocent, because she was Emily's, because she made him feel alive again. But more importantly, he stayed because he had failed Emily once. He would not fail her twice. That night Emily cried quietly into his chest as he held her. For the first time, her tears were not fear, they were relief. Months passed, and the seasons shifted. Lily took her first steps on Alex's office carpet, while he clapped like he was watching the world's greatest miracle. Emily began painting again, filling the house with color. Alex found himself smiling more than he ever had. They didn't fall in love instantly. They grew into it gently, like old roots intertwining after years apart. One crisp autumn morning, Alex took Emily and Lily to the small garden behind the house. The same place Lily had learned to crawl. The same place Emily had laughed, really laughed, for the first time since returning to his life. He knelt on the grass while leaves drifted around them like blessings. Lily giggled, trying to catch one. Emily froze as Alex took her trembling hand. He didn't ask for promises.